Are you coming?
You're going down here quick. Going down here quick. We've got two swan deals.
We'll get the birdie in.
Yeah, probably.
It's alright there, right at the best place. It's like the best place, if that's it. It's not bloke down there. Standing up as well. Over there.
Very shady in there, is it? All the seats are fucking made up.
We've got the best ones, haven't we?
Might be, but it's going to be, haven't they?
I'm afraid that's what we've been given. If you sit down quickly, that was all wrong today. It's much easier. 31 herself.
31 plus yourself?
Yeah. Do you mind if I pop up here
No,
just on the
no,
other
that's
side?
fine.
So I've got nowhere to sit. I better come out here because it's a bit cushy there.
Yeah. They got more than that. Probably one bubble, isn't it? I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
One, two. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, welcome aboard the Lady Christina. My name is Richard. I'm going to be your captain today. Now, as your captain, it's my duty and responsibility to make all my passengers aware of the life-saving and emergency equipment that we have stored on this vessel. It's all stood on the roof of the boat. The emergency exits are located at the front and the rear of the main cabin. And for those of you sat on the outer deck, please remain seated at all times as we do pass under two low berths. Is this all clear? Are we all happy, all smiley faces under these masks? And you can all swim, I take it. Oh dear.
I'm going to look out for those birds.
Which ones?
You might see a heron, red wings. Anything?
What is the Wye River?
Yeah, the River Wye.
The River Wye.
Not the Wye River.
Here we are on the Wye River on a sunny day
It's
in
the
June.
River Wye, not the Wye.
Huh? The River Wye.
It's not who, where, what, when, how and why.
Why? Why?
The skies are beautiful.
There's a good one coming up here with all the geese. There's a swan
Right,
there.
ladies and gentlemen, of course, if you've noticed we're going backwards, have you noticed? Well, what it is, I've got to go back because I've got to pull forward, and in a moment I've got a guy here taking a picture of the boat. Because it's such a nice day and there was going to be a load of pretty girls on the boat today, I thought it'd be a perfect opportunity a perfect opportunity to take a picture. So just bear with us a moment. This is an extended trip, and we're not charging any extra, okay? Thank you.
It looks like, yeah. Puts me in the face then.
You would have liked it.
Yeah.
So this is quite nuts. That's going back in. It's like straps to the boat. If it capsizes in, you won't lose the boat.
Yeah.
Do you remember those round
Oh,
things?
that man's taking the photos there on the steps.
Do you remember them round things like coracles?
Yeah.
Some people have them come down this as well.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, of course along the route today there are several points of interest which I'm going to point out to you, and as we come into those areas I'll tell you all about the local history of those areas, okay? Come on, Simon, hurry up. Right, everybody smile. Come on, David Bailey. You done it? Well done. Thank you. Right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your cooperation. And for those of you on the back of the boat, have you chucked all the branches out? Yes. Lovely, thank you. We had a few leaves come in, blended into the natural surroundings. Have you all had a nice day so far? Yeah. Well, you've picked a perfect day to be on the river, haven't you? Perfect day. It don't get much better than this.
Filming. Yeah. That's filming. Don't drop it.
It says here, camera is panning too fast. It says camera is panning too fast. I don't know what to film either. How do you stop it? Just let it go. Oh. See much yet in front. Turn it back.
Ladies and gentlemen, the first point of interest that I'd like to tell you a little bit about today is this lovely little church just coming up here on the left called St. Gebrutius. Can you all see this lovely little church over here on the left hand side? St. Gebrutius up here on the left. 13th century church, ladies and gentlemen. over here on the left, 13th century. Don't worry if you don't get a picture of it going up, because we're going to turn around and come back down, so it's going to be back on your side in a few moments. Now, this is the only church here in Symonds Yat, and of course, as you can see, it's very unusually situated right on the riverbank. Now, many years ago, the local people that lived in this area would come to this small church by boat, as the river provided the main form of transport. And of course, they'd moor their boats along the bank here on the left-hand side, pop to the church, ready for the services. So there we have it, St. Jabricius here on the left-hand side, our local church. Of course, St. Jabricius is a very unusual name. It actually comes from a 6th century saint from the county of Herefordshire. There are further 2 churches in the county of Herefordshire that do share the same name, so this is one of 3. Now we're going to continue upstream for several hundred more metres until we get to our first turning point, and then we'll be making our turn and taking you downstream. Now the main reason we don't venture much further this way, ladies and gentlemen, is because the river gets very shallow up ahead, and there are no deep channels for us to navigate through, so of course we do have to turn. If we did continue upstream for approximately 14 miles, we would of course come to Wye. Alternatively, going downstream about 8 miles, we'd come to Monmouth. If you compare this by road, it's just 7 miles by road to Wye from where at the moment, and 3.5 miles by road to Monmouth. So this does give you a very good idea, of course, how the River Wye to turn when we turn. Okay, all got that? Now I do hope you're all going to pay attention, ladies and gentlemen, because we will be asking questions later on. Now, the river we're on today, of course, the River Wye, is the 5th longest river in the UK. It has a sister river called the River Severn, which is in fact the longest river in the UK. These 2 rivers are known as 2 sister rivers because they both start and finish virtually in the same places. They both start in mid-Wales in a place known as Mount Pelimin in mid-Wales. Mount Pelimin in mid-Wales. They go their own separate ways, and then they return to meet each other at the estuary at Chepstow. The River Wye is 152 miles long, as opposed to the River Severn being 220. With all clear, paddle downstream, move over to your left-hand side, please, tight left, we'll just approach my sitting area. Okay, here we go. I'll try and keep you guys on the back of the boat out the bushes on the turn. Yes, what we're going to do now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go all the way down through the valley, through the gorge, past the salmon pool, the Yat Rock, the viewpoint, the 3 county view, and then of course then we're going to return just before the mouth of the rapids. Did you not know about the rapids? Did they not tell you?
No, I didn't tell you.
There's swines there, isn't it?
It's like the African Queen.
Yeah, well, if you can just imagine like Niagara Falls, for instance, it's nothing like that. Don't panic. You're in safe hands. It's my first day on the job. I've read the manual, it seems straightforward enough.
Just going running straight from there.
Now, okay, the river, the name of the River Wye. Of course, lots of people ask me, why is it called the River Wye? It's quite a strange name. Where does that name come from? Well, of course, the name dates back to the Roman times. It actually comes from a Roman verb, the Roman verb vega, which means to roam and wander. Translated into modern English is wise. So the name, the River Wye, ladies and gentlemen, comes from the Roman verb vega, to roam and wander. Okay? Not a lot of people know that.
It's good, isn't it?
Many years here. Yeah.
But we weren't scared at all. I mean, everybody feels better because I wouldn't turn
Now, ladies and gentlemen, in a few moments we're going to be back alongside the little church, St. Patricius. Now this time, as we travel downstream, it's going to be on our right hand side, so if you'd like to take a picture of it, just get your cameras ready. Now this time, as we come alongside the little landing stage just in front of the church, if you look straight across past that into the centre of the churchyard, you'll see quite a large tree called a tulip tree. Has anybody ever heard of a tulip tree? Yeah, they're not native to this country, they're actually from North America and Canada. And they're quite a large tree, they can grow to about 90 feet tall in their native soil. They're called the tulip tree because the small buds that come into flower at the end of June, beginning of July, so any time now, resemble the yellow garden tulip, hence the name. They often get confused with the magnolia tree, which is very similar size and appearance and much more common here in the UK. So in a few moments, as we come alongside this small landing stage, look straight across and you'll see the tulip tree beyond a small stone cross. So I'm just going to slow up now so you get a couple extra seconds to look at it. So there's the church. Okay, here's the little landing. Look straight across. Can you see that small stone cross? It's just beyond that small stone cross, left at large stone cross monument. The large one with the light green leaves. Can you all see it? That's the famous tulip tree. Now, it was planted there in 1807. So it's been there a little while, and it was, of course, it was planted there by a man called General John Simcoe. Now, General John Simcoe, he was the founder of Toronto, Canada, way back in 1793. He went on to become the governor of Toronto, and of course, he planted that tulip tree there in the churchyard in memory of his late wife that was buried there. It was her favourite tree from the time they spent together in North America. She was a local girl from Symonds Yat, from the Gwilym family, and of course, they were farmers and landowners in this area. There is a second tulip tree which is located right at the rear of the church, ladies and gentlemen, which you can't actually see from the river, and that was planted much more recently, back in 1989, to celebrate the 700-year anniversary of, of course, the church itself. The River Wye, ladies and gentlemen, of course, is famous for its salmon fishing. Now, the largest salmon that was ever caught on the River Wye was caught back in 1923. This was 54 miles upstream at Herefordshire, Wye, weighing in at massive 59.5 pounds. 59.5 pounds. That's the all-time record for the largest salmon caught on the River Wye. We do have our own local record that was set some years later in 1967, and this was set in an area known as the Salmon Pool. Now the Salmon Pool is directly downstream from here, down on the left hand side by these three large rocks, and back then a local girl called Jane Francis was fishing there, and she managed to catch a 47.5 pound salmon. Now this salmon, ladies and gentlemen, took 2.5 hours to land and still remains a record until the present day. It was caught using rod and line because of course there's no netting allowed. The salmon that we're talking about are the Atlantic salmon. Now the Atlantic salmon travel up the River Wye every year between the months of November and to December to their spawning grounds up at the Herefordshire Wye. And of course they make the spawning ground, and about 80% of the Atlantic salmon will perish after spawning. But 20% will return back to sea for a further 4 years until they make a second spawning ground, and sometimes even a third, although it's very rare. Unlike the Pacific salmon of the northwest, they only make one salmon rump, and then obviously when they spawn they all perish. Okay?
That's to the place. Is it a special rock, is it? Yeah. Some all over there, and they like, what is it, special? No. What's it back over here, man? You're wrong. The seat's gone up, what?
Now, ladies and gentlemen, just down here on the right-hand side, of course, we have the Old Ferry Inn. It's the large white building you see on the riverbank, the Old Ferry Inn. It's a public house. In fact, it's the oldest public house that can be found anywhere on the entire 152-mile stretch of the River Wye, and it actually dates back to 1473. 1473, the Old Ferry Inn, down here on the right. Now, they call it the Old Ferry Inn because the hand ferry you see moored up at its banks. Can you see that little silver boat? These hand ferries have been operated on the River Wye for over 1,000 years. And at one time, there were 25 of these hand ferries at various locations up and down the river. But over the years, they've disappeared one by one, and now there are only 2 still remaining. So this is the first one here at the Old Ferry Inn, and the second is further downstream. They can take you across the river for about 80 pence for children and 150 for adults for a one-way passage of the river. The local name for the ferry boat is called a pont, and the word pont is an old French word which means bridge or crossing. It's also Welsh, Latin, Dutch, Portuguese, Irish, and of course not forgetting Cornish, ladies and gentlemen. It means the same in all these languages. The Old Ferry Inn and the hand ferry there on the right-hand side known as the pont. So we just passed into the ferry road, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you sat on the outer deck. Now over to our left-hand side, of course, we have a wooded area, and this is the outer reaches of the famous Royal Forest of Dean. Over to our left, we have the Royal Forest of Dean. Now they call it the Royal Forest because of all the kings and princes that would come here many years ago on their hunting trips, hunting deer and wild boar that roam freely in the forest. They still do to the present day. It was particularly popular with King Charles II, who was a regular visitor to this area. In fact, they spent so much time here that they built hunting lodges for which to stay in whilst we're on these trips. The largest and certainly the most famous one that was built was located just outside Singapore, known locally as the Speech House. And this was completed in 1668 by King Charles II and is now a hotel. Looking directly downstream, directly ahead of us, there's a group of buildings down here on the left-hand bank. And if you look above these buildings towards the top of the hill, you see a limestone rock face. This is called the Yat Rock. Directly ahead of us, the Yat Rock. Very popular with rock climbers, and of course very popular with bird watchers. They come to watch the peregrine falcons that have been seen nesting here in recent years. If you go above that to the treetops on the skyline and then come back along the treetops towards the left-hand side, top left-hand corner you'll see a flagpole with a flag flown on it, a George Cross, top left-hand corner. that indicates where you find the viewpoint. Now the viewpoint is the highest place which overlooks Symonds Yat. It stands 473 feet above the river, and on a clear sunny day you can see 7 different counties from that very high viewpoint. Although we can actually see 3 of those 7 counties a little bit further downstream at the 3 county view. So as we come into the area, ladies and gentlemen, I'll point one out to you. Okay, is this all clear? Still paying attention?
Yeah.
I think you're picking on her, isn't it? It's only because she's little, isn't it?
I can't see nothing.
The rock face, you haven't got to it yet.
What do you say with here?
I'm going to be really nice to her. Is she really? She doesn't look like one.
See it, yeah.
I don't know if it's bentable or not. That's a nice house up there, isn't it?
Right, ladies and gentlemen, just down here on the left-hand bank, you see a little black boat over there on the left? That's the second-hand ferry. Of course, you'll be passing under another ferry road that spans the width of the river. Unfortunately, this one's not in operation at the moment. Not quite sure why, but it's not being used, unlike the other one we passed is in operation.
Saracen's Head. Quite big, isn't it? 16th century. Are you listening?
Right, ladies and gentlemen, if you look directly downstream now up at the hillside, we have a long stone rock sticking up through the trees directly ahead of us. And you see that large rock formation directly in front of the boat? This is called long stone rock, and of course it's very popular with rock climbers. Quite often we'll come down here and we'll see them climbing up or coming back down, and sometimes we even see them up on the top and they give us a little wave.
That's on television, I think, isn't it?
Now, that's Longstone Rock. If you look directly downstream now, a couple of metres ahead of us, we have the start to the Whitewater, the rapids. Oh. From where the Whitewater starts for the next 1.5 miles, the river flows downstream. The river descends 111 feet. So you have a 111-foot descent over a distance of 1.5 miles down here at the rapids. At the moment, we are 264 feet above Monmouth town centre, which lies 6 miles directly downstream. Monmouth being the birthplace to King Henry V. And if you look directly downstream now, just beyond the rapids, we have the 3 county view. There are 3 hills, ladies and gentlemen, and each of these 3 hills fall into their own individual counties. So the first hill on the left, as you look downstream, is part of Gloucestershire. The one just beyond it on the right-hand side, of course, is part of Herefordshire. And the third one in the distance on the horizon is Monmouthshire. Monmouthshire being the 2nd smallest county in the UK, as opposed to the largest being Yorkshire. So this is known as the 3 county view, and the entrance to the Wye Valley all lie directly downstream. Of course, as you look downstream now, can you see all the canoeists at the mouth of the rapids? Can you see all the ropes going across with the poles hanging down? This is to create a slalom effect for when they come here training. They actually came here prior to the 2012 Olympic Games, the British canoe team, and this is one of the places they used to train. And they went on to win 2 silver medals. And of course, you've got the small island in the middle, and on the right-hand side of the island, as you look downstream, that's where the old weir used to be. In fact, this area, ladies and gentlemen, which is now known today as Symonds Yat, the original name for it was called New Weir. That was the original name. Now, the name changed around about the beginning of the 17th century, and this was mainly due down to one man called Mr. Robert Symonds. Now, Mr. Robert Symonds, of course, he was the High Sheriff of Hereford at that time, and the major landowner in the county of Herefordshire. The word Yat is an old Welsh word which means gateway or entranceway, and because it was known as the gateway through the Wye Valley, it became known as Symonds Yat. Symonds Yat, of course, is the official birthplace of the British tourist industry itself, dating back to the 1850s. Now, over the years, there's been many types of industries that have come and gone throughout the Wye Valley, such as shipbuilding and, of course, mining. Now, regarding the mining, they would mine for coal, iron ore, tin and copper at various locations throughout the Wye Valley. The shipbuilding took place mainly downstream, down at Tintern and Chepstow. In fact, at one time, they had the largest inland shipping yard in the whole of the UK down in Tintern, and they were building ships there way back into the 15th century. The local shipbuilders would use English oak to build these ships, as it was sourced from the lower Wye Valley. Okay, girls, top right hand corner, can you see that red and white building? Isn't that lovely? That there is a traditional Swiss chalet up on the hill there, and this is the most famous building in Symonds Yat. Now, it was actually brought here from Switzerland in 1923 by a local man called Mr. Desmond Darcy. Now, apparently, he paid just £212 for that building. Yeah, £212 back in 1923. It came on the market in 2005 and sold for almost £1 million. And of course, it has featured in several TV programs in recent years. Does anybody recognise it? Who said yes? Oh, you're only joking. Do you watch Netflix? Oh, right. Well, it was on that program called Sex Education. You may have heard of it. Yeah. 2020, just before the dreaded COVID, we had the biggest ever recorded flood here at Symonds Yat. Ladies and gentlemen, and you're not going to believe this, but the river here at Symonds Yat rose, are you ready for it? 26.5 feet above normal summer level. Everything in Symonds Yat was underwater, and the water stretched all the way back out onto the Joe Carriageway. The Joe Carriageway was built, that A40, but was built in 1963 apparently, and it's the first time they ever closed it because it was flooded. All the way back to Joe Carriageway. Every business was underwater. 26. Right, okay guys, any questions? Andrea, have you got any questions for me? Sandra, have you got any questions? You're very welcome. Right, okay then, so no questions? Right, that's the Paddocks Hotel. The Paddocks Hotel. Yes, yeah, the Paddocks Hotel. Yes, it's actually the largest hotel in Symonds Yat, 26 rooms. The Paddocks Hotel, yes. Right, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't got any questions for me, then I'm going to let you have a little bit of peace and quiet. But thank you very much for listening. I hope you've all enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sandra. Oh, you were Sandra, weren't you? What was it? Oh, Sandy, like off the film, Sandy, and yeah, Greece. Yeah, I thought I knew you from somewhere. Can I sing? No. That's I can do lots of things, but singing is not one of them. I can dance. I can shake it. I can shake it. Yeah.
I was going across the light.
I'm going to take somebody over it.
We'll go to the loo. What did you say?
I said that's some of the dragonfly.
Where?
He's gone now.
Oh,
It was coloured.
I didn't see it. Just a great chicken.
Ladies and gentlemen, of course in a few moments we'll be coming into dock, so I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all very much for coming aboard the Lady Christina with Wye Valley Cruises. I do hope you've all had a pleasant, relaxing trip here on the famous River Wye, so thank you very much for coming aboard. Now, once we've docked the boat, if you could just take a moment just to check you do have all your belongings with you before disembarking, okay? So just take a moment, check you do have all your belongings with you before disembarking. If you do require any refreshments, of course they are available up on the bank. You've got the ice cream cabin doing all your favourite ice creams, including Mr. Whippy, Walls and Scooped ice cream, 9 different flavours. Teas, coffees, cappuccinos, all that sort of thing. Ice cold slush if you need cooling off. I think a couple of you do. And of course, if you want something to eat, have a look at al frescoes. Get a little snack there, hot snack. Toilets are situated behind al frescoes, or of course there are toilets, public toilets in the amusement arcade. So thank you very much. Hope you've all enjoyed it. Thank you. Bye.
That's a hand. What's that?
Little mask killing.
What?
Little mask.
Something that's on your head, it's gone now, but I don't know what it was. It's gone now.
Head.
It's gone.